2022, the US government imposed restrictions on the export of advanced AI chips, as if it wanted to stop the rise of artificial intelligence before it was too late. However, by the time the document was signed, large-scale AI models had already been trained outside of large companies, Silicon Valley, and even the Western ecosystem. GPUs such as the NVIDIA A100 and H100 have been in operation at universities, national laboratories, independent startups, and military institutions in various countries for some time. In China, the Ascend 910 chip began to be used after the sanctions were imposed. In other words, the restrictions came after the main infrastructure had already spread. There was no announcement that we had crossed a certain line, but technically, the most important decision may have already been made before the public realized it. To understand why some researchers believe we have already passed a point of no return in AI, we need to examine how power actually distributes in modern technology. AI development no longer depends on one lab, one country, or one decision. The critical resource behind modern AI is not an algorithm, it is computation. Over the last decade, advanced computing hardware quietly spread into universities, national laboratories, private companies, and military research centers across the world. Once that happened, control became fragmented. No single institution could realistically decide when to stop. Stopping in one place simply meant acceleration somewhere else. This is where the first layer of the conspiracy appears, not as a secret plan, but as an outcome of structure. Governments now treat AI as a strategic asset, similar to oil or nuclear technology. Official policy documents from the United States, China, and the European Union openly state that AI determines economic strength and national security. In that environment, restraint becomes a liability. Even if leaders privately fear the consequences, stepping back risks falling behind rivals who do not. At the same time, the people building these systems began noticing something uncomfortable. As AI models grew larger, they started showing abilities that were not deliberately designed. Researchers documented cases where models suddenly gained new skills once they reached a certain size. There was no gradual improvement leading up to them. These behaviors could not be reliably predicted in advance. This was not discovered by outsiders or critics. Instead, the labs developing the models themselves found it. Internally, this created a contradiction. On one hand, institutions acknowledged that they did not fully understand how advanced models reason internally. On the other hand, those same institutions continued deploying them into real products, infrastructure, and decision-making systems. The reason was not recklessness. It was pressure, competition, investment cycles, and national priorities made slowing down unrealistic. Another quiet pattern reinforced this trajectory. Inside major AI organizations, teams focused on making models more powerful consistently grew faster than teams focused on understanding or constraining them. This imbalance was not hidden. It appeared in funding decisions, hiring trends, and release schedules. Capability development produced visible results, market value, and strategic advantage. Safety research, by contrast, produced uncertainty and delay. From the outside, this looks less like a coordinated plot and more like a system locking itself in. No single actor intends to create something uncontrollable, yet everyone benefits from moving forward faster than others. The result is a situation where stopping becomes irrational, even if the risks are acknowledged. There is also no global off switch. This is not because engineers forgot to build one, but because such a switch would require centralized authority over infrastructure that is already decentralized. Models can be copied. Training knowledge is published. Hardware exists in multiple jurisdictions. Even strict export controls implicitly admit this reality. They aim to slow diffusion, not reverse it. The most unsettling part is that none of this required secrecy. The evidence exists in public research papers, policy documents, and funding data. The conspiracy is visible, but easy to ignore because it does not arrive as a single dramatic event. Instead, it unfolds through normal decisions made by rational actors responding to incentives. By the time society begins asking whether AI has gone too far, the system has already adapted around those concerns. Development continues, not because no one is worried, but because the cost of stopping has quietly become higher than the cost of proceeding. In this view, the point of no return was not a moment. It was a process, one without an announcement, without a vote, and without a clear line that anyone knowingly crossed.